tonight. Kyle Lowry flies into the stands in the fourth quarter, diving for a loose ball and lands right smack in the middle of a group of fans. One of those fans shoved Lowry in the shoulder. Security ejected that fan for the incident. After the game, Lowry talked about what should happen now to that fan. Take a listen.
As for that fan, there's no place in him for that. You know, he had no reason to touch me. He had no reason to reach over 2 seats and then say some vulgar language to me. There's no place for people like that in our league. And, you know, hopefully he never comes back to an NBA game.
Shannon, I'm sure you had your share of seeing fans mix it up when you played in the NFL. Should this fan now be banned from NBA games?
I believe he should, Skip. Yeah, Skip, it's not asking too much for fans not to touch the players or to shove the players, because we asked the players to show great strength. Imagine if Kyle Lowry had shoved the fan. What would have happened, Skip?
Shoved him back or shoved him first?
No, just shoved him first. Oh. Just shoved him for no reason.
Oh.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk malice at the palace.
We can't, I mean, at a normal job, I can't go into a fast food restaurant and shove the manager down. I mean, ask me to leave.
Yep.
I'm going to leave one building and go to another, which is the police department. That's what's going to happen. And Skip, what you think that man paid for those seats? You sitting in those seats? That's not a $300 seat. That's a $30,000 seat that night.
Yep.
So he knows better. And for what reason, Skip? The lady in the yellow, she's the trooper, because Kyle Lowry with full steam hit her flush. She flies back. Good thing the chair behind her was empty. But the lady patted him on, it's okay, it's okay. And he reaches out and shoves him. For what? And you know what he probably said? Get the F out of here. You're not a warrior. Get out of here, Lowry. Come on, man. I'm glad Kyle Lowry showed great restraint. And he tried to get the official, and the official, like, what he do? He's like, no, he shoved me. And he did. But we're wired differently, Skip. Because when I ran out on the opposing field, the opposing sideline, if somebody grabbed me, the first thing I did, get your hands off me.
If you ran out where?
If I ran out of bounds on the opposing team sideline, don't grab me.
Okay, but you're talking about a player?
Yeah,
okay,
so
a rival player.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So you could imagine.
No, I got it. But the one difference in your game is they're not sitting courtside.
Well, they're trying to find a way to get some extra money. Yeah. Well, you can play, Skip. You can stand on the sideline if the price is right. Yeah. But, Skip, this is unacceptable, Skip. Is it asking too much that you pay $30,000, $40,000 for that seat, that you not touch the players, that you not shove the players, that you not yell obscenity? Is that asking too much, Skip? Maybe it's asking too much. I don't know. Is that asking too much, Jen?
I don't think so at all.
By the way, in football, even if they were sitting on the edge of the field, you're in helmets and pads. I'm not sure anybody's going to shove you. You know, like I could be wrong.
They don't want to get run over by us, because you sitting that close and we come with a head of steam with helmet and shoulder pads, somebody go get hurt.
I agree with what you just said. He deserves a lifetime ban, as harsh as that seems for a shove, but it crossed the line.
Right.
It went completely over the edge, and it could have led to a really dangerous situation thereafter. Unfortunately, it did not, because, to your point, Kyle Lowry's a tough young man. He's a bulldog defender, and he plays hard. And he's running hot at that point, and it's still a game. It's still a little dicey. And if somebody shoves him in the spur of the moment, he might have, you just want to defend yourself and shove back.
Right.
And he didn't. He turned to the referee. You believe in this? And they said that the guy was ejected thereafter. So let's reconstruct the situation. So it's 10-17 left in the game, and the Raptors are up 10, but it still feels a little dicey.
It's a close game, yes.
Okay. 96-86. And Quinn Cook, little big heart that he is, he drives again for the second time. He tries to get to the rim, and Serge says, I'm a blocker. I've led this league in blocks twice. And he doesn't just block it, he swats it.
Yeah.
And it's going out of bounds. And Kyle Lowry says, I got to save that basketball. I'm going to risk my body to go save it. Unfortunately, he's about to risk a whole bunch of bodies, because he goes as dangerously flying into the crowd as I think I've ever seen. This was full speed dive.
Right.
And fortunately...
Let you know it's the finals.
It's the finals, correct. Fortunately, the woman who was occupying the first courtside seat, the woman in white, was standing up.
Right.
And so she was out of harm's way, so he got a clean shot through her seat into the second row, which then pushes everybody into the third row, and they're getting whiplashed into the third row. he was flying. It was a crash into people. And fortunately, I don't think anybody got hurt.
Right.
Maybe we don't know.
Glad that wasn't Joel Embiid.
Ooh, wow.
Kyle Lowry weighs like a $180.
I know, but he is put together, man. He is stout.
He's solid.
Yep, he is very solid. So the point is that everybody tries to help him back up, and several women are like patting him like
the
it's
lady
okay.
that was standing,
it's okay.
yeah, she's like,
she's patting him
right.
like it's okay. They were actually trying to check his safety.
Right.
You know, how are you okay?
Right.
And as he gets up, the one guy who was also completely out of harm's way, who was not involved, at least you could give him a little bit of break if he got run over.
Right.
He didn't get touched.
Didn't touch.
Right?
No.
And then he leans all the way over and hard shoves him.
Right.
Well, that's out of bounds.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know what the vulgar language was. Oftentimes in these situations.
But you heard it. He said something. You can look at him. He said
I know
something.
he said something. Fortunately, we didn't have an N-word situation
Right.
here, but he did say something.
Right.
And here's the great irony, and I want to make this bigger picture point. That crowd, I know that crowd, and it's very loud there, but they've never been considered like the Raiders crowd or the Eagles crowd.
That's
or
a totally
like,
different crowd.
Like nasty, dangerous, it's not like that there. So let's not condemn the many for the one.
Right.
But the one was out of bounds.
Right.
So the one, I know lifetime ban is harsh, but to me, as Kyle Lowry quickly pointed out afterward, I don't have any recourse. You can't let him do that to me and get away with it without punishing him for good.
Right.
Because I didn't respond.
Right.
And we know we had Ron Artest on last week. You're
Right.
talking about the malice in the palace. And Ron's point was, in my neighborhood, if you throw a cup of ice on me,
Yeah.
I'm going to respond.
We got to handle you.
Unfortunately, you weren't in your neighborhood. You were in the
Right.
palace in Auburn Hills,
Right. Right.
Okay, but everything, all hell was breaking loose already on the court, and Ben Wallace is throwing all kinds
His
of
wristband.
headbands.
He took
wristbands.
everything he had and threw it at him.
They're not throwing. They're not teching him. He got no technical fouls, and all of a sudden that guy sitting, what was his name, Green, somebody
Yeah.
Green, I don't forget, but he just decides, I'm going to try to lob my cup. It's a Diet Coke, but it had a lot of ice. I'm going to lob it. And Ron, who's
laying on the scores
the therapist had told him, when in doubt, just lay down.
Go lay down.
Just lie back on the scores table. Unfortunately, I think that further.
They looked at it. This going on and you being disrespectful, laying down on the table like,
you're
okay,
disrespecting
like you at your home. Okay.
Yeah, and
we'll
remember,
get you up.
Indiana was kicking their tails.
They were.
It was in November, so it was early game. And all of a sudden, Ron says, you can't do that to me. Well, the point is, Kyle could have said,
Right.
You can't do that to me.
Right. He reaches clear across the seat that's unoccupied.
Yep.
So he had no reason. But Skip, even if somebody runs into, and we see it all the time, guys get nachos and women, children get nachos and soda and beer spilled on them. It's called assumption of the risk.
Yeah.
Guys are going to come into the stands. Balls are going to come into the stands, and it happens. You can't get upset because you paid for that. You paid for the access to be as close to the action without being on the court as you possibly can. One of the rules is you get close, but you can't step over. Why are you touching him? Like when the players want you to touch him, when you stick your hand out, when LeBron or Russ and you guys, they'll slap your hand if they want to be touched. But you don't take it upon yourself. See? Now, if he'd caught him with a two-piece, how would he react? Why would you react like that? Why would you put your hands on him? Why is Skip? I just want to help me understand this. Why is it so hard for people to keep their hands to themselves?
That's a little psycho, actually.
That's rule 101.
Yep.
Keep your hands to yourself. And for me, I'm like, look, treat me at my workplace like you would if you saw me walking down the street. Would you walk up to me and shove me down?
Me?
No, I'm just saying.
I might think about it, but I don't. Then I would.
I'm talking about fans.
No.
If you saw, would you shove the guy down?
No.
Would you throw something on him?
And there's a fan conduct code
Yes.
card in every
That's
seat at the
true.
beginning of
That's a good
every
point.
game.
Right.
Yeah.
And why grown adults need that written out, I'm not sure, but there was no excuse for it, and Kyle Lowry handled it.
You handled
with
it
a lot
beautiful,
of
Kyle.
class.
He did. Way to go.
And you rewarded, dropped that 23 on him.
As for that fan, there is no place for that. He had no reason to touch me. That's what Kyle Lowry said. So certainly kudos to Kyle for handling that well. So big question now, are the Raptors in control of this series now? We've got Chris Broussard coming up next to help us break that one down. We're back in just a moment.